Yo, 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 what up, internet? Check one, check two, levels looking good. My name is braV. This is I Can't Produce a Podcast, episode number 32, and I have a very special guest. His name is AG, hailing from Boston. Welcome to the show, Andrew. How do you feel? How do you feel today?
Feeling pretty good, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. Was running around during that intro of yours, like getting some coffee in me and whatnot, but that's an old one, ain't it?
Dude, I was gonna say I didn't even recognize it at first. I was like, wait a sec. That's me. That's so old. I love it.
That's the one that put me on, like, definitely 5 years ago. I was a huge fan of Peekaboo, like, all over his stuff when he was, like, dominating the scene and, like, on his come up. And so that was totally in my algorithm somehow. So that's what put me on. That and the Dragon Hawks remix that you did.
That's I was expecting that to be the answer, to be honest. Was the Dragon Hawks. That's a big one that people keep bringing up.
I went back to your page today and I found those two because I was like, the your style has really changed over the years because I was listening to some of the other things that were coming out around that time.
Yeah. Yeah, my whole deal, my whole project has gone through a couple of iterations for sure. But very, very, very happy with the where it ended up. This is I think we found something here right now, and I think that those past iterations kind of allowed this current space to blossom into what it is and what it will be. So I'm very excited.
How do you feel about so I take it your numbers have been looking really good recently, You've been releasing a
Okay.
ton of music over over the last year compared to like the last three that I was looking at. So have you just been cooking up? Do you have like a big backlog of music and collabs that you can release now?
Yeah. I probably have the most amount of content stored up right now that I've ever had in my entire life. In just in the past, honestly, year, maybe year and a half. Um, just because like I did kind of take a little bit of time between these different iterations and kind of just try and figure out where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. And then it was this past year and a half has just been hitting the ground running nonstop, always on go mode, just trying to get as much done as possible and write as much. And I've never been like more inspired to do that, just because of the reception and just how much this project has grown within this last year and a half. It's just been really, really cool to see.
Do you think it's been because you've been more consistent with your like putting out music, or do you think your style has really drawn like a different, like a new crowd?
I think a little bit of both. I think that the project is a lot more consumable just by people who aren't like it isn't a specific crowd I'm targeting. You know what I mean? It's more of a like a surface level, very very fun, very vibrant type deal. It's as opposed to what it was, 2 or 3 years ago, where it was just very angry, very like negative, and very just like kind of a specific niche of sound, if that makes sense. I think people are relating more to it. I think people are kind of seeing a lot more, like having more of a chance to vibe with it than before, just because it's more, easily consumable. I guess I hate that word too. I don't know why I said it twice, but it's just like the only thing that came to mind.
Well, I'd say, I mean, if I had to describe the difference, you kind of said it. One that was a bit more aggressive and tear outy. I don't know. Yeah, consumable. It's not.
It just
It's.
sounds so robotic. I hate it.
It sounds corporate for sure. Yeah,
Digestible is even worse.
yeah. We need to make something that our audience can digest more easily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like disgusting. No, thank you.
Well, I'd say, yeah, I think it's a bit wobblier. I think the reason when I was listening to that Maniac track today, there were some gross, wobbles under all that, under that aggressive shit. So I was really happy with that track.
Yeah, it was like a precursor. You know what I mean? Like there's the sprinkles were in there. I just had to kind of dial into them and make them into what the music is today. Because I've always loved that kind of wubby, like melodic dubstep stuff that actually isn't just like mean and aggressive. I've always loved it. I've always listened to it. It's just like it hasn't really clicked in my brain on how to make it my own
Yeah, yeah.
until recently. So that's just kind of what I've been very like excited. The music is like exciting again, and it's just a very, 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 very fun time.
That's awesome to hear, and that you're having fun with the project and are feeling more inspired than usual. Um, how did AG kind of start? You know, where did you start off making music with this project, or maybe even before AG was a thing? You know, we're
Yeah,
there's a lot of I
uh,
love hearing the answer to this question because
the
it
origin
varies.
story.
It varies a lot. You wouldn't expect it,
Yeah,
even though we all wound up the
I
same place.
no exactly. I think mine's a little cliche too. Like I grew up in a music family, kind of like that. My parents were always like throwing, classic rock on, Rush, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, that kind of stuff. And I obviously gravitated towards that because that was really all that was, in like present in my life. So I kind of dove into percussion, drumming. I got a drum set for Christmas. I taught myself how to play it. I was in marching band in high school. I was in jazz band. I was just doing as much music as I possibly could because that's literally the only thing I liked at that time. And I was just like very, very motivated to get really good at it and be a really good like drummer. And then I did that. And then I was like, well, okay, what's next? What's next? Like, where can I go with this? I applied to Berkeley School of Music, got in for drumming, and I was like,
Damn,
okay,
that's impressive.
this is cool. I like didn't go because it was $75,000 a year, but I, at that same time, I was like starting to like kind of hear people talking about electronic music. People like my close friends in high school were talking about like Dead Mouse was a name I heard a bunch, and I literally this is when I had no idea.
Dead
So I literally
Mo-Fi.
all I did was Google search dubstep. I'm not even fucking kidding you. Like I literally Google searched dubstep, and Sierra Leone by Mount Eden came on, and I was like, so that's new, that's exciting, that's fresh, that's the freshest thing I've heard in literally like years and years and years, and I kind of dove down a rabbit hole of just like researching dubstep artists like Flux Pavilion. Dead Mouse was kind of a little heavier back then, but Flux Pavilion, like Rusko, Skrillex, all that stuff. I was just like immediately hooked after hearing that first song, and like dove down so hard, and eventually, convinced my parents to let me go to see. It was I think the first one was Skrillex. Yeah, the first show I
Nice.
saw was
That's
Skrillex,
awesome.
and it was so eye opening because this dude was like he had like 5,000 people at the tips of his fingers off a laptop. And I'm like, bro, I have to have like 7 pieces of heavy ass drum percussion equipment. And that's only one part of an entire ensemble that would have this crowd like moving like this. And this dude is doing it off a fucking laptop. Are you kidding me? So I like dove into that of like how this is even possible, blah 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 blah. Started DJing after that because I was like, oh, if I can't like, I don't want to lug these drums around forever. I kind of love this electronic stuff. How am I going to get myself into this world?
Yeah.
So I obviously just started DJing first because as a drummer, it's a lot easier to like understand rhythm and understand beats than it is to write full pieces of music. At least it did for me. So I kind of took to DJing first because it was just a lot easier. And then slowly, slowly, slowly over the years, taught myself how to produce and taught myself, arrangement and, a little bit of music theory, not too much, but enough to get by. Um,
Just a
and
tad.
yeah, yeah. So it was a really cool, just like growth thing where it's like I kind of went from a really, traditional classical, not classic, like band style music versus what it is today where it's just fully digital. But yeah, that's kind of the abridged version of it. It was a long one for sure.
No, it was great. Is AG kind of are those your initials? Just kind of grew
Yeah,
into that.
yeah, that's the other part. Yeah, super super basic name. But it's just like what people called me, so
Yeah.
I kind of just went with that because everyone already knew me by that. So it was like it was easy, and people just called me by that anyway. So it's like it kind of flowed a lot better.
Yep. That makes sense. Believe it or not, most people call me braV, and that's how I came up with my
Yeah,
name too.
it's just easier. It's like why try to force something else when people are already calling you something? Might as well just lean right into it.
Right. One of my really good friends basically said or recently told me that one of the better pieces of advice he's gotten is you just got to lean into the gimmick. You got to pick a gimmick and lean into it.
You do, and people will respect it. If you try and fight it, it's just going to be harder on you, and harder for you to progress past it than it is for other people to try to grasp something new. Like it's such a like a hack to just if you're known for something, lean into it. Like it'll work out somehow.
Well, I guess I got some questions kind of about how you make music nowadays. I take it you're on Ableton?
Yep,
Sweet.
fully.
Fully. Do you use 10, 11, 12?
I've been on 11 for a bit. I just got 12 like 2 weeks ago.
What's the
And
AG official review on 12?
I like it. I don't see, at least in my current like workflow, not too much is different. A little bit of like housekeeping stuff, a little bit of just kind of look and feel and how it flows. I think that's a lot smoother. It runs a lot better. But as terms of like in terms of like new features that came out, I'm not really utilizing them yet. I want to. I probably will dive in, but it's just kind of been such a go mode recently that I haven't really had time. It's kind of just like, hey, move all your shit to this and just keep working on
Yeah.
stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
What
but I'm excited. I'm glad I have it.
what features have you kind of been excited to try out? There's a couple new
Well,
ones.
I've seen it has a native auto tune, which is pretty nice. The new saturated roar looks pretty sick. I've used it a couple times, but I haven't really dialed in to where I want it.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything pretty much else, it's pretty much the same. But the auto tune will really come in handy because since before this, it's kind of been just like third-party plugins that we need to rely on, and the one I use kind of sucks.
I was just gonna ask, which one do you use?
I used is I think it was the M Audio one. I forget. I literally just canceled. It was like a subscription model.
Oh,
Like I had to
ouch.
pay monthly for it, and I forgot I was using it because I didn't do too many vocal features where I had to really dial in on the tonality of it, and I realized I was paying it for like 4 months, and I was like, ah, fuck.
That's rough.
But
I'm calling it. I think, and I love Ableton. I think they're
oh, it's
gonna.
fully gonna be subscription.
Oh, they're gonna do it. I know they're gonna do
They're
it.
gonna do it, but if they do it to me, if they force you to do it after you've been paying, like already bought it, then I will officially leave Ableton behind. I
Same.
think.
Like why? Like they're gonna do the Adobe model. I know
There's
it.
no way they would do that. There's no.
I don't know.
I don't
I don't
know.
know. They both begin with A. I see connection.
Yeah, I think. I don't
Adobe,
know.
Ableton. They're kind of they're
Adobe has me
similar.
by like. Adobe has me by the goddamn neck with that. I swear. But yeah,
Are you still
if
using
I
Adobe products right now?
fully like every single one, and I pay $70 a month, and every month
Crazy.
I hover over the cancel button, but I'm like, I need it.
Whoa. So are you using like Premiere and Photoshop? Yeah, all of them you said, so you probably know them all.
Yeah,
Yep.
so my daily lineup, because I'm doing a lot of visual work these days for myself and other people. So my daily lineup is usually like if I'm doing artwork, I'll make it in Unreal or Cinema, like render that out, edit it in Photoshop, do all that stuff. And then if we're doing visuals, same thing, Unreal or Cinema 4D, and then I compile it in After Effects, do a bunch of effects on the thing, and then use timeline stuff in Premiere to kind of like, composite
Yeah.
it together. And then Illustrator is for logo stuff, and kind of vectorizing other stuff, and merch. It's really helpful for merch because you can get that high DPI print. So pretty much use them all, and I am fluent in all of them. So it's like I can't really afford the time to switch over to anything else and find alternatives
Yeah,
because
if you're knee
they all
deep in
just kind of work
projects.
together.
Yeah.
It sucks.
The one I got lucky. I never really got when I started getting into editing and visuals, I was already out of the Adobe camp. So I kind of learned on Inkscape, like all the open source stuff, except for
Yeah,
DaVinci, which is the one I would recommend if you ever do make the switch. DaVinci is Brad.
yeah. I've heard everyone says that too. It's like you gotta switch over because Premiere is just not it, and it's not. It sucks. Premiere is but it's like my ass, you know.
Well, at least it sounds like you're using it because you're working. So
Yeah,
that's their model, and that's, if
it's I'm
it's
I'm
rough.
I'm the category that they want to pay money to them apparently. So that's just what it is.
Damn. Well, Ableton, please don't do it, but we know that
Yeah,
the
if you're
future is
listening,
coming.
please, I
Yeah.
beg you. I already gave you $900 for Ableton. I don't need to do more.
I don't know. What about $900 forever?
Yeah, $900 every year
Yep.
forever
Mhm.
sounds
Mhm.
miserable. I think it's crazy. I think it's crazy that they make you pay for the upgrades and so much. Like it was $230 to
Yep.
upgrade to 12. And I think that's like I've been paying Ableton since I bought it. Well, I mean, obviously I cracked it when I was in college just trying to learn it,
Yep.
but
Try before you
I
buy,
bought it.
everybody.
I bought it. I bought it when I was making money off it. So I bought it, and I think that was Ableton 10 I bought fully, and then I've upgraded to obviously 11 and 12. So that's another $500 in upgrades plus the $900 I spent on it. Like that's
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, that is crazy. And yeah, I didn't even think about that you had to that if you're around for all the upgrades that's going to add up to
And
hundreds
you
and
know what's
hundreds of
crazy
dollars.
is that if you were to buy Ableton, well, say like I think like 2 or 3 months ago before 12 dropped, maybe even earlier. Um, if you were to buy 11 in this like specific time frame right before 12 dropped, you just get 12 for free. Which I guess makes sense for them to get new people in the door, but like for me, it doesn't make sense because I'm already in the door and I should be not paying the full upgrade fee. I'm just saying.
Oh, I completely agree. I think the thing that got me was that they had a 40% student discount on Ableton like 11 Suite. So I completely,
That makes sense
yeah.
though.
Yeah, and so, that felt good, but the upgrade, it just locks you into the model.
Yep.
Personally, I think
Model.
I've got a whole conspiracy theory about Ableton like hooking up. I'm trying to make a video on it, but I think they're hurting for money a little bit. I think the competition has gotten to them, and that's why they're doing some really silly moves like the Ableton move.
I see. Yeah, I was kind of like curious to see if they were actually making money, but that's like that is interesting.
I
I mean, they
think
must be a lot of. It's like a what it's an industry standard. I mean, they must be making. They're already pushing out a bunch of new stuff.
I don't know.
They
I
must
don't
be.
think they ever really caught on as the industry standard when it comes to like, I go to recording studios for live instrument recording, and no one uses Ableton. Everyone's still on the Pro Tools because Pro Tools, I think, is
I was gonna say Pro Tools. Yeah.
overall Pro Tools seems to the consensus is that it's better for live recording and for tracking. So most people in a live recording session, in rather expensive studios, I don't think they main Ableton, to speak. I think it's still the standard as
Yeah.
Pro Tools, and then everyone. I just think they kind of lost their place on the throne these last couple of years. I think Bitwig has gotten a bigger audience, and a lot of
Bitwig. Yeah.
important producers have gone over to Bitwig. I think the other free DAWs and cheaper DAWs are also just getting really good upgrades, and FL Studio is like gotten a major upgrade, like major repolish. A lot of the
Is
people.
FL Studio paid? I don't even know. Is it?
It's not subscription. I'm pretty sure. I think they might have a subscription model for like a VST or like a plugin pack. But everyone that I know that has stayed on FL Studio is very happy with like where it's at now, and they feel taken care of. So I
I
think
just can't get over how it looks, and that's just
it's
me.
goofy.
I just
It
can't.
looks like a child's video game.
I can't get over it. If I'm gonna be staring at that shit for like, how many hours I put into Ableton, I just, and that just might be the designer part of my brain that it needs to look okay. Like I need to like I need to like what I'm looking at. You know what I mean?
That's part of why I didn't like. I've been really tempted to try out Bitwig or like main it and see if I could make the switch, but no, I don't like the way it looks actually, and I really like the way Ableton looks. And I have like
Yeah.
it's
I was
clean.
I was talking. Do you know Lax?
Oh yeah, I like blacks.
Yeah, I was talking to him last week, and he was showing me he's doing a bunch of engineering stuff recently, and he walked me through Bitwig, and I was like, "Are you like good, man? Like this looks insane. Like there's just wires everywhere, and there's like different stuff." He's like trying to explain it to me. I was like, "Dude, I'm not gonna lie to you. You're speaking a different language. Like this does not look fun."
It's yeah, it doesn't look fun. When my roommate
I mean,
tries
it
to show
sounded
me,
amazing. It sounded incredible, but like, holy shit, it looked like it was he was like doing surgery on a computer.
just yeah, just a bunch of wires and note generation. You're
Yeah,
like, yep, like looking under the hood. Yeah, if Ableton had
yeah.
that,
Oh
I
my
don't
god.
think I'd be too happy.
No, no. Keep it looking nice, nice and sharp.
Dark mode always.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, do you have any other VSTs that you like to use other than or like that you go to mainly, or are you kind of Ableton stock?
So yeah, I'm a lot of Ableton stock for sure. I mean, I'm obviously using the main ones. I'm maining in Serum, doing all my sound design in there, and like a bunch of post processing on it of just like fully Ableton stock stuff. I have a lot of custom racks and like racks I've gotten from my friends that kind of help with the post processing process. Obviously using OTT. I use a lot of. I think this is my favorite plugin. Infected Mushroom Wider, incredible. It does a
Ooh,
lot with the pushing a lot. You can like really dial in where your sounds are sitting in the mix, and that's kind of what's helped me get a really really crisp sound. It's in full sound is just by a lot of stereo mixing with
nice.
this plugin, and it really helps because you and I have these speakers that are like they're dual cone and they're super wide. They're on their side, so they have like a really really wide profile, and you can kind of really like physically feel where things sit in, especially in my room. That's kind of how I laid it out. But yeah, I love wider. That's my go-to for pretty much everything.
And do you throw that on
Um,
your like mastering chain or
no, 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 no. It's pretty much anything that I need to move around. So for example, I'll have like my main sub will be dead center, not no to be mono, everything mono on the sub. Um, and then from there I'll usually have the hats and sort of like the higher percussiony stuff a little bit outside of the center. And I'll be sending like each thing. I'll put a wider on the hi hats. I'll put a ride cymbal. I'll put a little bit on a snare that like you want it to be like outside of the center, and then
gotcha.
just kind of like basing off of that. After that, I'll do the basses and the synths and just kind of hand pick and hand place them in certain spots in the mix where they need to shine or where they need to cut through and like get behind some sort of phasing that's happening if they're just center too. So it's really cool to like just kind of like see and feel where these things are sitting. And then I'll use mini meters obviously to kind of visually see and place things where they need to go to kind of fill out the mix and cut it through.
What exactly do mini meters do? What if I would? If
Well, it's just a lot of like imaging. So it's like you can see exactly like like different types of just like monitoring your sound. So if like let me pull it up real quick so I can not sound like an idiot. But it it essentially just like shows you different ways that your sound is being interpreted. So
interesting.
like you can set all of the different bandwidths. You can set there's a spectrogram, there's a waveform, stereometer, oscilloscope. You can kind of like set different ways that you want your sound to be interpreted, and it's not doing anything. It's just kind of monitoring out to you what's happening. I use it mainly too for like the peak like loudness stuff, and just kind of seeing that nothing is getting blown out. And yeah, it's really helpful. It's only $10. It's awesome.
Awesome. Okay, I'll look into that. I mean, you said infect wider and mini meter.
No, infected mushroom.
Infected mushroom wider. Okay, cool.
And that plugin is free, and I think it just came out with an update. It's awesome. Highly recommended.
Okay, write that down. Write that down.
Yeah.
All right, hell yeah. I feel like I've learned something. I'm gonna go check those out. And
Yeah,
like
they're awesome.
I've used Vision 4X, but I hadn't. I think that allows me to see like a spectrogram and a couple other things,
Yeah.
spectrogram or something like that.
Yeah. And you can like mini meters has a ton of different like you can switch out modules. You can kind of really make it your own. It's great.
Awesome. I do have some more kind of questions about like how you make music, if that's cool.
Yeah, man.
I guess I don't know which one to ask first, but I'll just say, where do you go for like tips and tricks nowadays? And like versus versus when when we all start out, we start out on these like tutorial videos, how to top 10
Yep.
tips, and but like you're on a much bigger professional level. Where do you go to learn new things or get inspired by the genre?
So it's actually been happening a lot with like collabs. Like I'll see every every artist that I work with, they work differently, and the way they achieve certain things in Ableton or whatever we're working in is different every time. So if it's a very similar sound, it could be a completely different workflow and work and chain they're using or whatever. And I think it's just super interesting to just kind of like study and see how they're achieving the sound they want to achieve, and kind of not taking it verbatim and taking it exactly how it is, but kind of seeing how that could influence something I'm working on to get sort of a different sound, or just kind of seeing the workflow and process. Because like Ableton is such a diverse and versatile program that you can like there's so many different ways to get the exact same result, and I think that's really cool to see how other people kind of just like their brain works in terms of the software. And personally, I don't even think I know like like 40% of the capabilities of Ableton. Like I'm always learning stuff through other people. I'm always learning stuff, random ass TikTok videos I see scrolling through of like someone doing this like crazy thing of, how they got to this, A to B. But yeah, it's mainly through other people, and I'm blessed to have a lot of people collabing with right now that are really, really, really talented people. Um, so it's been a really cool thing to see and like learn from them. But yeah,
That's awesome. I just to dig a little deeper, is there any like thing that you learned from your most recent collabs? I think that's Stellar and Austin.
yeah. Well, Stellar is an incredible she did most of the arrangement for our song. She's incredible and she's very fast at it too. I think that song was done in probably about like when we both were working on it. I think it was done in about like 2 weeks of just like getting it together. We hopped on a Discord call and we just kind of dialed it in. But her arrangement and her flow was really cool to see. And it just kind of it was very fresh. And I think that's what I kind of took that from the whole interaction was just like how to make it sound not robotic and how to make it sound like a nice flow instead of like a computer is making this. Like it felt hand touched and handmade, if that makes sense.
That does. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think arrangement is overlooked by a lot of artists. Sound design is
It
so much
really is
fun
like
to do.
sound design is what people think is gonna it's a huge part, but arrangement and flow of music and just like knowing where your place in the song and knowing where you are when you're listening is so important for people to relate and understand the song they're listening to and like want to recommend it to other people and want to keep playing it because they want to feel like familiar and at home when they're listening, not when it's live but when they're listening, you know what I mean?
Definitely. I arrangement. I think arrangement has been kind of the key. I don't know, kind of the center of music. We haven't really, had all these sound design tools for very long. I think we're getting a little
Yep.
carried away with all the infinite sounds we can keep creating. And then I'm like,
Oh, I
guys,
agree.
I get it, I get it. But we, I think arrangement just needs to take the forefront a bit more. The sounds are dope, um, and
But
it's
I have such a gripe with this too because it's like the sounds are dope, but like if it's just sound and it's not like harnessed in a way to create long lasting and iconic music, then like I don't know. It could be a hot take, but I just
no,
think
no.
that
I
sound design
keep going.
isn't the only thing that we need to focus on.
Completely agree. What kind of other? I think that kind of leads me into what other music has inspired you. I don't, I think you were talking about earlier how you got into EDM, but I'm constantly inspired by other genres of music, and I still listen to the stuff that I listened to before I got into this DJ realm too.
Yeah. I don't really listen to a lot of electronic music to be honest because I'm always writing it. I obviously listen to like, you know, new stuff that comes out just to like hop in and see it. And I have obviously my catalog of just like my favorite artists who I'll obviously hop back into, but like mainly I'm listening to like hip hop, rap. I'm listening to a lot of um like more melodic stuff. I'll go back and like I've been on a classic like 2010 EDM kick right now, like listening to Zed and listening to like Swedish House Mafia and just kind of going back and trying to decipher how those songs are so timeless and so like iconic and what was happening in the arrangement and the flow and just the general vibe of how those were created. But yeah, so like that's one thing I've been listening to. I've been listening to obviously a lot of rap. Huge Mac Miller fan. Huge Tyler the Creator fan. Who else? Just Porter Robinson, obviously. Mega Porter fan. I've seen him every time he's been in Boston in the past 6 years, 7 years, maybe even 10 years.
I'm gonna entertain my roommate Q Ren over here. What's your favorite Mac Miller song?
Let's see. Perfect Circle up there. Um, Ladders, huge song. Let's see. I obviously like Loud, but that's more of like a intense one.
So
Oh, congratulations.
if I don't know Mac Miller too well because I never really got into him. If I were to listen to an album, which one would you recommend I start on?
Ooh, that is a good question. Fuck. I'm gonna have to say Faces. I'm gonna have to say Faces. I think Faces is a really good kind of wholesale sell of Mac Miller. I think it's a very good start to finish listen. If you go in order, I really like that. If you're looking for a cry, listen to Swimming. Very good one too, but
Okay.
Faces for sure.
Okay, hell yeah. I think I'll do that today then. We got some stuff
Yeah,
later.
highly recommend.
I'll start
It's a
crying while I'm
trip.
cooking. It's all good. The
Love
tears add
that.
flavor.
Yeah, I think I have like a little like vinyl like shrine in my room. And I only have two albums, and I think I need to add Faces to it, but right now I have Nurture by Porter Robinson and Flower Boy by Tyler the Creator.
Hell
So
yeah.
I think that'll be the next one.
Speaking of all these awesome artists, you have a dream collab?
Right now Tape B, obviously.
Hell yeah, yeah, he's blowing
Like
the fuck up.
I think that would be insane. If we're going further, I would probably say I think Rusko would be really cool.
Nice. Classic.
Ganja White Knight. And yeah, I think those are my top three. I think I wrote them down actually. Let me see. Let's see if I called myself correctly. Yep. Oh,
Well,
Alice Dream.
oh yeah, yeah. We got to look at the
So
vision
yeah,
board.
Tape B, Alice Dream, Ganja White Knight were my three.
That's awesome. I hope that happens. I'll be the first one to listen.
Yeah, me too. I would love to say that there's some talks on that, but not yet. But we're working towards
oh
it.
yeah, no, I believe in you. Well, so I guess I kind of wanted to ask you also, do you like touring? Do you like DJing? You know, is it how hard has it been or how easy has it been?
So I love playing shows. I love it. I love playing for people. I love seeing the reactions. I love meeting them. I love being at the shows. I love that. That is probably peak serotonin, peak like of why I'm doing this for sure, just to like connect with people. Um, on the other hand, I am so anti-travel. I don't like planes. I hate airports, but I obviously will do it, and I would love to do it to get to the shows. It's just like I'm such like a homebody. I love being at my desk writing stuff, and I'm a little tall for an airplane seat sometimes. So it's a lot, but you know it's part of the game. You got to do it just to get to the. There's a lot of lows with the highs, so it's getting a
Definitely.
little more digestible for sure. But and there's that word again.
Well, I'm sure you can get used to it to a degree, and I hope. I mean, have you had to fly a lot more than usual recently?
Yeah, we're doing a couple more out of state shows. This is the most I've done this year in a single year. But there's another couple by the end of the year that are really big that I can't quite talk about yet, but
Oh,
I'm
no
very excited
problem.
for.
I'm already
But
excited. Do you have any
yeah,
crazy stories from this year, or I don't know, any
stories.
notable memory? Nothing, no pressure.
Um, Notable memories. I mean, not this year, but I went to Lost Lands last year, 2023, and I think that was a that was one of the peak moments of the career for sure because I got to go backstage fully and hang out with every single artist I like listened to and like had songs with, and it was just a really cool like it was really cool like seeing that internet to in real life like switch of just like, oh yeah, okay, so this is real and we're doing stuff and people are talking to me and I've been listening to you for 10 years and you're just talking to me like we're friends. That's sweet. um
That sounds awesome.
it was a very cool. I got to hop on a couple stages. I got to play at the silent disco with like 4,000 people. It was nuts. Very very cool. I don't think I slept for 2 days, 3 days. I had to like drag myself to the airport to leave. It was nuts. I slept for like 3 days after that. Very cool. Very like visceral like moment. And so like since, and I think that was like probably one of the top 10 moments of the career so far for sure.
That's great to hear. Do you so is that like one of the bigger crowds you've played for at that silent disco? I've never been to Lost Lands. I just know it's huge.
It's massive, and this was I'm talking like 3 in the morning. Like it was like nuts, and it was the stage was just full production for a silent disco at 3 in the morning, and it was like nothing I've ever seen, and it was like in the middle of the woods. There's trees like through the crowd. It was nuts. As far as biggest crowd, I'd say that I played a couple like the biggest venues out here in Boston. I think the biggest one here is like 24, 2,500,
Nice.
and I played that I played that pretty consistently. Um, but yeah, I'd say that's probably one of the bigger crowds. The one coming up is probably going to be a little bigger.
Yeah.
At the end of the year, which will be very very fun. That should be announced honestly in like a week or two, but it's nuts.
Do you mind if I kind of dig a little on how you prepare for gigs, you know, big or small?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, for a big crowd or like, you know, this show coming up, what have you been trying to think about as far as your set goes? Do you plan out like a playlist? Do you have a ton of cue points? Do you like freestyling? You know, I'm curious.
Yeah, so I it's tough. Like normally I would just say yeah, I would freestyle and just kind of get all my favorite songs that I've made, my favorite songs that my friends made, but it's kind of getting to a point where um it needs to be very dialed in. It needs to be very on point and it needs to have a certain flow that I don't feel confident enough that I can just freestyle that. Um so right now for this coming show, um it's fully planned out, but it's not like obviously pre-recorded. I'm still DJing it. It's just the moments in the set are very hand picked, and they're also accompanied by the visual side that I'm fully doing myself. I'm making every single piece of media that's happening in this set, besides the like songs that aren't mine, but they're mainly edits that I've made or like mashups that I've done with the songs or just kind of like made it my own in some way or another. That this is kind of going to be the step moving forward of just like taking it from more of a DJ set into like a performance, if that makes sense. Um,
Like an art oh my god, exhibition might be the wrong word, but
that sounds wrong.
just
Exhibition, exhibit?
exhibit.
No,
I don't know. Just I remember when I went to G Jones, I was like, this isn't a you know this isn't a DJ set. This is you know like something else, and it was just like
this is cinema.
yeah I don't know something. So he
Well,
wasn't.
not okay. I won't be G Jones level. Let's be real. That's insane. That show is nuts. But it's definitely getting to a point where it's the next step needs to happen in terms of performance, just because and you kind of need to stand out in that regard, especially with just how much the content that comes from these performances can be used
Right.
and kind of used to boost your audience and boost your growth. Um, I think it's just very important. So I've been spending a lot of time just hand picking and hand making all of these different moments, and that's kind of what I've like brought my set down to. It's not like a bunch of songs; it's a bunch of like handpicked moments that I like really, really, really think will pop off, or like touch people in a different like it touch people's hearts in a different way of just like not always being banger after banger after banger. It's just a
Right.
nice flow state in a set.
So, do you and I do visuals sort of not to the same degree that you do because I've never really like jumped into the 3D world. I do a lot of kind of like sound responsive things. But do you ever feel like
Okay.
locked in to your set or your, your set list because of the visuals that are accompanying it? Are you by chance, doing the visuals on stage too?
No, 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 no. It's all like pre-made visuals. I have seen this happen, and I think let me remember his name. Future Twist. He does that, and same with Virtual Riot, kind of, where they have like the VJ or whoever's doing visuals. But that Future Twist guy, he does it as he's DJing. And I don't think I'll get there where I'm like playing the song and then moving over to a different laptop and doing the visuals. I don't think that's for me. I just think that I need to personally have my fingers and hands in every creative aspect of what I'm giving to people. And if that's me making all of the content for the music that's being played, or me, you know, making the music for the content that's being played, vice versa. I think that it's just super important to me that that needs to be me doing it. And
Right.
because like you're going to see me, I want you to see that.
Really like a representation of your style, your art. People are it's it's nice to hear your favorite song on the biggest set of speakers you've seen ever.
Exactly, exactly. So I want it to be like full. I want it to be like a full experience of just like that's what you're getting. You're getting me. I want it to be visually me and like sound like me. So I think it's a lot of work, and I'm not going to downplay that. It's a lot of extra work that other people are definitely not willing to do. And that's not a shade. That's just because it's like it's true. It's a lot of time and a lot of effort to learn this and to just do that. But I think that it's something that could potentially just set someone apart. Just like people aren't talking about G Jones like fully for the music. They're talking about it as an experience, and I think that's really, 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 really cool. And I love that.
Right. That is yeah, the whole experience is what I realized that he was curating. It wasn't really just the music, at all.
Yeah,
It wasn't his
it's the
playlist, it wasn't
vibe.
his set
It's the
list.
vibe. It's always the vibe.
I was at Essex the other month and I met this guy and he was, he was on a bunch of drugs and he was, talking about serotonin syndrome and he was like, "Do you ever get worried about serotonin syndrome?" And I was like, "Actually, I'm sober right now. Like I'm having a great time." And he goes, "You don't need to be on drugs to get serotonin syndrome." And I was like, "What?" And I thought about it and he's completely right. The
Wait,
experience
what is that? I don't
so
even know what serotonin
well,
syndrome is.
I didn't. Yeah, sorry, I didn't even know what it was. It's just kind of like dopamine, like a consistent dopamine crash. Like people who abuse MDMA have to like manually feed themselves dopamine at some point,
Oh my god.
because they have like no serotonin left. They can't produce it naturally. Or I'm mixing up serotonin and dopamine, but
Yeah.
if you yeah when MDMA all these drugs that are kind of in the scene, a lot of times they spike your serotonin and will get rid of your ability to produce it naturally. And I was like, that's one of the main reasons I don't really want to abuse these drugs. But that's the guy was like, no, if you just really are enjoying yourself, you're gonna have serotonin syndrome too.
Wow.
So I don't. I it kind of made me
Like horrifying.
it kind of made me realize that like yeah, I could do this sober, but like the experience here is so powerful that it could still like even drive me ups and down and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's insane. That's so cool. That is cool. That's like cool that like something like not brain altering can still have some like serotonin effects. That's nuts.
It's I thought it was interesting to think about. Like it made me feel like I was on drugs the rest of the night.
Yeah, you're like, wait, am I?
Yeah. I was dancing like I was, that's for sure.
Hell yeah.
All right, cool. So I wanted to pivot a little bit more towards your visuals and kind of how you curate that because you do. I really like your visual style. It's kind of it's
Thanks,
dark,
man.
deep, dark, and dangerous, if you will.
Ooh,
It's pretty, and it's all like it's got that classic 3D vibe that I love seeing at festivals on big LED screens now, where it just kind of feels like you're in a different setting entirely.
yep.
So, what kind of vibe are you trying to curate with your visuals? And I guess the whole experience.
Yeah, so it's a very like natural style that I'm going for. Very environment heavy, which is kind of cliche, but I'm kind of trying to do a little spin on it, where it's the mixture of natural settings and natural assets and natural vibes versus like some sort of like you know digital like I guess the right word is dichotomy, where it's like
Digital
the
dichotomy,
something that shouldn't be
new track
there is
title.
there. Um, and yeah, it's just been really cool because I'm fully making all of these in Unreal Engine, which I'm learning is probably the greatest 3D software that has come out in the past 5 6 years. It's unbelievable, and it really just kind of takes gives you everything you need in order to do this on your own. Like you don't need a studio, you don't need anything. You need a computer, you need a monitor, and you need the drive to learn it and just the creative direction. And I think that's awesome. Um, and yeah, just very environment heavy. Think of like a video game, right, where you finally unlock a new piece of the map and you get there for the first time and you're like, holy fuck, this is gonna be nuts and I have so much to do in here. That's what I'm trying to get with all of these like different visuals, because there's gonna be a lot of different visuals that are in this certain like a specific world. So there'll just be a lot of density and like each visual. I'm kind of rambling here, but each visual is like a world, and in each world there's going to be so many different angles and things you can see and things that it's doing. It's just really cool. That's all I can say.
I like that a lot. It sounds really inspired and inspirational, and kind of looking forward type of a vibe. And I
Yeah,
appreciate that a lot.
and it's like ever evolving too, because it's like I could the beauty of this engine is I'm not locked into anything. I don't have long render times. I don't have to like wait to see if it looks good. It's all real time. It's all I can swap out anything for anything. I can change the vibe instantly if I'm not liking it. If like one show I don't like the way it looks, it's not like it's this huge like studio that needs like weeks and weeks of like downtime in order to get this done. It's literally it's all real time. It's all done on my computer. It's all like done by me. I think that's great because there's no risk in like doing something wrong. It's like if I don't like it, I'll change it, and then that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Two questions. One, what kind of computer do you have, and what kind of video games are have you been inspired by? Because I like games. I like games.
Yeah. So I built my computer. It's just a PC tower. I built it during COVID, but I've upgraded it since then, obviously. But I learned how to build computers by watching YouTube tutorials, and I just bought all the parts and said, I'm gonna do this because I need to do something because there's nothing to do. And I did it, and I bought it and built it in the drive to learn 3D because I was using a MacBook before and it wasn't obviously enough because MacBooks sucked back then, and
For
which
the
they don't now. They
M1s,
can handle
yeah,
it
the
now.
M1s are crazy.
Yeah, I have an M1 Pro right now and it's amazing, but like still, this computer will blow it out of the water. I have a 3080, which is
Oh, crazy.
fine. It's fine. It's it could be better. I do max it out a bunch
Well, it
with
was probably
rendering.
you got it during COVID.
Well, I got this. No, I had I during COVID. I got a 2070, I believe.
Okay, okay.
Since upgraded the CPU since then. Still have the same amount of RAM. I upgraded the cooler on it maybe like a year ago. Power supply I upgraded, so it's essentially a different computer completely.
Yeah,
But
well, that's the beauty of building it. You can just kind of swap in parts and like
yeah, I
yeah.
don't have to buy an entire new system. It's parts here or there. So it's been a learning thing too, just because I built it by hand, so it's like I know exactly what's in it and what won't be working, and I kind of understand that, um, which I think is cool. And yeah, for the video games, now that's a question. I have been playing the new God of War Ragnarok. That
Yeah.
game is so good. I can't stress it enough. That game
Uh,
is incredible start to finish. The visual design is insane. Just everything about it, the voice acting, the storyline, I loved it. I literally couldn't stop playing it. Um, and
I've heard
then
nothing but good things about that game. Do you have a PS4 then?
no, I got it came out on PC literally like a month ago.
Oh, sick. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and it's like full. I have like a huge like ultra wide 1440 like 140 or 144 hertz monitor,
Yeah,
and thing looks insane with God of War. I'm hooked, and I didn't even do any side quests. I just did the whole entire main story, and now I have the entire world of side questing to do and hop back in. So very good game. Can't recommend it enough.
the music and the scenery that doesn't surprise me because I've seen clips of what that game looks like, and it's just like amazing as far as like a 3D world goes, and that feeling you were
And it
talking
runs
about.
like crazy. It runs like butter for some reason. Like it's so high fidelity graphics and like insane sprawling environments, and it runs like nothing. Like it runs beautifully. I got a Steam Deck too, which is like obviously a little lower hardware specs, and it runs on that. Like
I've been wanting a Steam Deck for so long. I've been saving up. I have like a little fund, but I keep having to break into it. I'm so mad.
yeah, it's honestly if you're gonna get one, you'll have to get like a battery with it,
I'm gonna get
like a
the.
battery pack.
I've been thinking about getting the OLED version, just because they
Yeah,
seem to be.
I have the regular one, and it's good, but if you don't have like a battery backup thing with it, it lasts like an hour and 10 minutes.
Oof.
Like
Well,
I brought it to I just played in Dallas like a week and a half ago, and I brought it on the plane, and the plane ride was 4.5 hours, and it lasted like an hour. I was like, all right, cool, we're learning.
damn it, Steam. You're like, oh,
Then I had to just raw dog the flight and stare at the map.
no music, just raw
No,
dogging
dude,
it.
I didn't. I literally everything died at the same time. I don't know what happened.
Uh,
My AirPods died. My phone was on very low percent, and Steam Deck died. And my laptop is just I have the 17-inch, and it's too big for planes. I can't use it. It's too big. So I just sat there and I just stared.
I have yet to raw dog a flight. I think that's my biggest anxiety is like making sure everything's charged because I can't do it. I didn't realize how much I
I think I'm
hated
gonna
it.
start doing books. I think I'm gonna start doing books again. Books are the way.
Yeah, and they don't. Well, I have a Kindle, so my books can die.
Your books can die.
Yeah.
I played a show in I think Tampa, and I was coming back, and I got a book in the airport, and I was like slowly reading it, and then all of a sudden I realized that the plane like the lights will be dimmed on the plane, and I didn't want to be that guy and it was nighttime, and I don't want to be that guy who was like put on the
That
overhead light
tall
and was just reading in this
squished into a
blinding
seat.
light. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, okay, so I literally had my phone and I opened like a Safari page on my phone, and I was using it as a like a light to hold it over the book, and I looked like a fucking serial killer. Like it was so I was like hunched over it too, and the book was good enough that I didn't care, but I was like, dude, this looks insane. So maybe I will get a Kindle.
Built-in backlight's pretty nice. The battery lasts like a month, but somehow it still dies on me.
A month?
Yeah. I don't even.
Okay,
It's
I'm buying
like,
one.
yeah, it's awesome. Shout or so what I got one a few years back when I realized I think it was around no, it was before COVID. I was in school and I was pirating all of my textbooks because I could.
Naturally.
Yeah, why would anyways? And so then I just kind of had like a light bulb moment and I was like, wait a minute, wait. I've got this huge book list and I'm pirating all these textbooks. I'm pretty sure that I can get all of these books like also like off of the internet. Sure enough, there's Kindle versions of every single book I've ever wanted. Like open what's the IRC? Yeah, on the IRC highway essentially. So
Yep.
Yep, I got a Kindle. It was like $100 and infinite knowledge. I have like 300 books on
Never
there.
looked back.
Never looked back. I've never paid for like a book since. I've never looked on the Amazon store. I just download them off my computer, throw them on a Kindle and it or on my Kindle, and it's one
See,
of the
that's the
best things
digital
I've ever done.
freedom we need.
Yeah, I completely agree. I get so shocked when I talk to people nowadays like that just they pay for everything. It's crazy. I am like I used to pirate everything from movies to video games, and I just I would assume people would do that more often, especially now with all the accessibility. Everything's digital.
Yep. See, I agree. I agree with paying for something if it's in support of, whoever made it and you're benefiting off the product, you should be paying for it. But if it's stuff like textbooks or like, no offense, digital books, let's be real. Like,
Where the
I
cost
think,
of reproduction is literally zero.
yeah, exactly. I think that it's fine. Like, and also pirating software that you want to try out and they don't give you like a trial period. I think that is completely okay because ain't no one in their right mind like dropping hundreds thousands of dollars on a program they don't even know. Like that's insane.
I completely agree.
Except me because I did that, but
Well, I think the software is I think a little bit different from all of this, media
yeah.
that we can just distribute again with zero cost. Like I don't think a digital book, even from a really famous author, should be like $20, $10. I'm like, come on, like you guys,
Yeah.
this is 100% profit. I know this. I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the lines get. I'm also just a purist as far as all of this shit goes. I think I'm exposing myself a little bit here. If the cost of reproduction is zero, I have very little empathy for if you can make money off of it.
100%.
Digital freedom, though. Do you?
That's I love that. I love that. I need that, to be honest. That's why I'm like, well, I guess Unreal isn't really digital freedom, but just having free stuff like this that like once you cross a certain threshold, then you need to start paying. I think that's amazing too because it's like it gets so many people in the door and creates more business for you as a company. And
Right.
also it just kind of like spreads the word of your program and makes it a lot more accessible to people, and that's huge. Like I think it's a win-win for everybody.
I think I've adapted the Gabe Noel phrase that pirating is a customer service issue. Which
Oh my
is
god.
yeah, just he's a genius.
Love it.
But yeah, yeah. I think what was I gonna say? Something digital freedom, yada yada. Yeah, everything should be free.
Something like that.
Yeah, give me everything.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm just winding down my list here, but how you feeling, man?
Dude, I feel great.
Good. Awesome. I'm glad. I've really been enjoying this conversation.
Yeah, me as well.
Cool. So, which I think I already asked you that. Do you make any other genres? Do you have any side projects? You sound kind of busy, so that one seems a little silly to ask,
I am busy. But so I did do again, this was during COVID too, but like I tried to do a little bit of lo-fi at one point. That was fun. But didn't do anything with it. Just kind of did it as like a little fun thing. Didn't put it out anywhere. Just kind of like have it in my back pocket. But tried that. I started out making very future bassy stuff, which I thought was fun. But in terms of right now, it's mainly just what you hear, kind of trying to dip my toes into other genres while still making it feel like me. In terms of vibe or sound design or what have you, but mainly just kind of focusing on what will work in terms of live sets and what will work in terms of just putting out and just what people want and just kind of getting feedback from the audience and whoever wants what they want. I just want to provide that, and I want to be like making what I like but also making what everyone else likes.
Definitely. I think it's important to draw inspiration from other genres. Truly, I
Yeah.
think that's what EDM really was all about originally. was
100%.
sampling, you know, the aim
That's
and
that's
break.
what that's what a lot of genres just are completely. I mean, that's why subgenres exist, is because they're just drawing from different aspects and creating new, entirely new genres, and I love that.
I think Closey was somebody who really pushed that mix of like ethno world music and all these
Yep,
like tropical sounds and throwing that in her music, and I think that really set her apart, you know, early on.
agreed. Huge agreed. Love Closey.
Big shout out to Closey. LSZ was just here at Red Rocks and I missed it, and I'm upset.
Ah, bummer.
Big bummer.
Oh,
That album is
I
absolutely crazy.
I am having me and Closey are, well, not we're not having something together, but I should be on one of her big old compilations pretty soon, so that'll be
Oh,
fun.
nice. That sounds cool. That
Yeah,
actually
I'm
reminds
very
me,
excited for
how did you go about making that Maniac track that I know that's a long time ago, but was that stems? You know, was there like a competition for that?
this. So I think I honestly just bought the song because the way I used to do remixes are completely different from how I do it now, obviously. But I think back then I was just kind of, I would buy the song and then chop it up as much as possible and kind of take a lot of the remix that I made. A lot of like the original song was in it just because AI like isolation didn't really exist at all. So if you didn't have the stems or you didn't have the vocal, you really just had the original song to work with. Um, and I think I remember doing that one by just really hard cutting the low end and doing making it a little bit wider, just trying to put my own sounds underneath to kind of like fill out that empty low space while still keeping the mid and high range of the original to kind of make it feel like it was from the original. I don't. It was a very messy process for sure.
Yeah.
And it this I listened back to my old music and I'm like, holy shit, that sounds like ass. But back then, that's just what everyone's shit was kind of like that too, because it
This is
was
kind of
like
how you did it. Yeah,
that's
there
that's what
was
we
no
had.
there was
That's what we had
no
to work with.
stem AI stem separation. But did you get stems for this Closey project that you were talking about?
So this is actually a collab. It's not with Closey. It's with somebody else that I don't want to drop yet.
No, you're
But
good. Yeah.
no, I didn't. It's a fully original song. But for the remixes I'm doing right now, it's mainly just all the flips or the reboots as it is are mainly just vocal isolation and then um writing everything else below it. If it's I'll usually sample a lot of the main, not the main melody per se, but kind of like the main progression, I guess is the right word, of where the sounds will go and how they'll get there and kind of make it my own from there. But I think that, yeah, it's kind of a completely different process as it was, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I gotta say I really enjoy your bootlegs. I know you have a lot of them, so I don't know what that is exactly saying, but I think a lot of your style and spirit really comes out in those bootlegs.
Dude, I agree. Thank you for saying that. I really enjoy making them. I think they're huge in terms of just like developing sounds and developing familiarity of how to do it. I think it's huge to make bootlegs or remixes in general, because there's so many things that, like, kind of backtracking what we were saying of how other people were inspiring me. That's a huge inspiration too, because you can kind of like play off other people's stuff to make it your own and then kind of develop a style from there and take that and make it to original songs eventually. So yeah, man, I love remixing. It's so much fun.
Well, it's that DJ origin in you, I think, is just keeping all those songs mixed up together. Uh,
I think it is too. I think, and like I'll make music, like, for example, if I'm planning out this set like I am right now, if there's a spot in the set that I can't find a song for, but I feel like I'll know what could fit there, I'll write a remix to fit in this specific spot or like specific vibe, or I'll try and find a song that might fit and I'll try and write something, but like it's very like pick and choosy, and I love it.
all right, so I got this. One of the other songs that I starred while I was listening was "Death by Dishonor." That song is fucking
Oh,
crazy, and it sounded a little bit like a reboot, but it's well, I didn't know where the vocal was from. Um,
yeah. So technically it is. So I wrote the song originally, not as it was just an original song. And I couldn't find a vocal for it. I literally looked everywhere. I tried to find someone to do a vocal. It just didn't feel right. And I was literally listening to it's a Ghost Main and Puya song is the original one, and it's literally called Death by the Song, or I think it's called that. But I was listening to my car on the way home from work one day, and I was just like, dude, this I'm hearing my song underneath the vocals that are like there's obviously a beat in the original song, but I'm just kind of hearing it, and I was like, dude, this is it. This is perfect. It flows right into every single like downbeat that I have in my song, and it's like I think it was honestly in the exact same key too.
Oh, so it was
So
just
I
perfect.
kind of it was
Yeah.
so easy. I literally got home and I literally just like plugged the vocals in, and it took pretty much like no effort to make it work. I just like kind of I didn't have the vocal be in the major um like spotlight thing in the first drop to kind of like keep it a little bit my own, and then the second drop is obviously like just the vocals is carrying. So I love how that song came together. I just didn't want to release it as an original because technically it's not fully a remix, but whatever. We'll just call it.
Yeah. No, well that was by far the that was the highlight of my morning was listening to that song for sure.
Oh yeah, that song pops off live too. It's so much fun because people like the second drop. Like when the second drop hits, it's like such a shift in energy too because that vocal is so powerful.
Yeah, yeah. So what I'm gonna have to look up that original song too, just so that I have that ability in my flash drive.
Yeah, it's Death by Dishonor by Ghostman.
Ghostman. Okay, hell yeah.
I think I just sampled the Puya verse in the at the end because Ghostman's very he's he has a very specific vibe to his vocals, and they're very high pitched and fast, like so fast. So the Puyo one is a little slower and a little like
Yeah.
normal, not normal, but just a little more easier.
I guess I did want to ask you, are you full-time making music now? Are you able to kind of sustain yourself with your art?
Yeah, no, I'm not. Well,
Okay,
so I have a full time job.
got you.
I do like operations, project management stuff for a solar company, out of Florida, but I'm remote out of Boston, obviously. But so that's like kind of just my daytime thing. I also do all the visual stuff and the music. I am very close to being there. I think the goal, and I was talking with my manager about this. I think the goal is probably like quarter 2 next year, potentially start thinking about the idea of going fully onto music.
Right.
Um, but we're not quite there. But like it's definitely not so far off that it's impossible.
I think a
Which
lot
is
of
exciting because I've been working forever. So this is
yeah,
it's an
well,
exciting idea.
I think a lot of artists, including me, we the game has changed a lot, and especially with what kind of we were told. I think growing up and what the music industry is. What makes you money as an artist? Shows and kind of like
Yeah.
yeah. What are the biggest money makers in 2024? And like how would you what advice would you give to somebody who was trying to do this also? Save them
Yeah.
some time, I
I
guess.
think that shows are obviously the biggest money making, but those are sometimes will be few and far between. So it's truly like a very creative time to make money right now because you can make money doing anything. And that's kind of the cool thing that I'm discovering is that I make a lot of not a lot of money, but I make enough money through visuals. I think learning a specific skill in whatever like in whatever realm you want to be in, kind of find out what skills that you think you could tackle and learn and sell yourself on because for me it was visuals. I'm a visual person. I really like the idea of making it, and a lot of people in music need visuals. A lot of people need artwork. A lot of people need this or that, and a lot of people don't know and don't have the time or resources to learn how to do the visual side of stuff. And I think that was a really big foot in the door, especially for my music career. That opened or it opened a lot of doors for it because those things go hand in hand a lot of the times, you know? So I think that finding a niche that you are good at and kind of capitalizing on that as well as doing music, I think that's huge because, you know, music, until you're touring consistently, it's not going to be enough, unfortunately, to sustain a adult lifestyle of just not eating rice every night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but I think in terms of like if you're trying to do just music, I think that if you get good enough, you could start offering lessons. I think a Patreon is a huge thing right now. And I'm in the process, as in like probably in the next month of launching my own. But Patreon's huge, where you can kind of like showcase and throw some stuff up that you're already working on, and kind of sell yourself on your production knowledge and offer lessons. Like there's so many avenues for revenue in this space. You just have to not be not have tunnel vision and not focus on one thing.
Gotcha.
Until it all, you know, culminates to whatever you want to do. If it is music, you know, make everything you're doing making money work for that one thing. Like make it all channel into music. If it's visuals, do the same thing, you know. There's so many avenues.
Sounds like there's a lot of synergy between these art forms and whatnot, you know.
Exactly. And it's like they're like if it's insane how many things are, you know, tied in. Like one opportunity for me in design could open an opportunity in music. Like they're so intertwined. Same with, you know, doing lessons, same with doing, you know, Patreon stuff. There's so much opportunity to cross everything into each other. You know what I mean?
Digital freedom. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And yeah, the networking, you know, I mean, you and I connected over Discord. I joined your Discord server like 3 4 years ago. I'm
So
pretty
that's
sure.
actually that's going through a revamp. I'm gonna with the Patreon I'm launching, it's gonna
Yeah.
completely be overhauled, and we're gonna start hopefully a little community in there again, just like it was, but like a little better with the Patreon stuff. Um, but again, I'm doing it all myself, so I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
I don't even know what Patreon was like 2 months ago.
Oh, damn.
So I'm like, well, I did, but you know, not as like not as as an option of like doing it myself.
Right.
And I kind of just dove in recently, just to see how in depth it goes, and it goes crazy. Like there's so much stuff you can do.
Yeah, you don't just have to be a content creator to do it. You can, I mean, generally that helps as far as marketing yourself goes, but you can just be you can be anyone and have a Patreon.
Yeah.
It really doesn't
And
matter.
like a lot of these producers have such a thriving community, and that's just kind of where they get their start. If they're not even like, if they're just good at making music and can offer some good advice and throw up some sample packs, or like, you know, do a lesson here or there, people will start flocking, and then they could, you know, start writing their own stuff and just skyrocket from there because they already have this nice little community that they've grown. So it's just like, it's definitely a cool little space. I like it.
Yeah, building your community is very important with the digital age, I'd say. I mean, or
Oh yeah.
Discord allows for an easier, you know, organization of having all your homies or, you know, the people that follow you have a closer eye on you. Um,
100%.
yeah, you gotta yeah, and those are the people that are going to show up to your shows when you are in their town.
Exactly. And like at the end of the day, it's like that's who you're doing this for. It's for the people who are supporting you anyway. So it's like might as well offer them a space that they can share and, you know, be with the like-minded people who also support you. You know what I mean? It's just it all benefits each other, which I love.
Did so are there any visual projects that you're working on right now that you can share? Like kind of who they're for?
Yeah, I'm doing I've done so much this year. I did a bunch for Cranked At. I'm working with Lax pretty extensively
Now,
on.
Lax, I think is a really good pairing because all of his album art that I remember back in the day was very much your style of
Yeah,
3D.
yeah. So we connected. His old manager Steph. We were friends, and then she started taking on like him. She took on Future Exit, Freaky, that kind of style, and then Lax and I. She wanted me to do his. I think it was his artwork for Step Five was the first one. So it was earlier this year. And since then, he kind of left that management, and then we've still been every single project since then. We've pretty much been meeting weekly, just banging out these artworks. all these visuals. Like I've learned Unreal with him. Like
Yeah.
it's been such a like a beneficial mutually beneficial relationship where like he offers me a bunch of tips in music and like I'll help him with all this visual design. And it's been amazing. Um, he's been awesome. I did a bunch of stuff for Lost Lands. I did a whole entire media package for a couple artists at Wakan. I'm working on, let's see what else. There's so much.
That's awesome.
I do all
That
my
this
own stuff,
is,
obviously,
yeah. I
but
mean, these are
it's
some
literally
big
like a
names.
full-time job next to my full-time job.
America.
Yeah, dead ass.
That's the norm. I mean, this is 32nd episode. Around episode 20, I realized that that my perception of full-time music producers just was almost not a thing anymore, as far as like at least with like the level that I'm at right now, and
Yeah.
or the interviews that I've gotten. Like a lot of you've got a growing fan base, right? And I'd love for your art, or for your art to be able to sustain yourself, so you're an artist that I'd love to just see wake up every day, do art, go to bed, be like, hell yeah, man, I'll be at your show. um
Yeah. Fuck
so
yeah.
yeah, but most people I've had on, they are working a full-time job on their full-time job, and they're
You
doing
have
it
to.
so out of
You have to.
there's so much passion involved, and if you don't, there's just a level of work that you kind of have to accept, I feel like.
The work is the non-glamorous part, which a lot of people don't understand. It's like people think, and I say people, as a general statement. I don't think that music is as glamorized as it used to be, but I think it still holds a special like pedestal that people put artists who are doing a lot on. But what they don't kind of see is all of the behind the scenes stuff of us just kind of grinding. It's all grind until these massive payoffs happen of like shows or like collabs or whatnot. But 98% of the time it's just me and the computer screen and we're putting in work, you know?
Yeah, it's all built up for these really small moments, which is something I had
It's
to
just
learn.
crazy. Isn't that
Yeah.
nuts? It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's and I
So
learned
fucking worth it though.
I learned at my last show that those moments are really the thing that are gonna make people remember you, and what people are there for. What I got into that for is just like these very sparse but incredible moments.
Yeah, 100%. And same with me, man. Like it's I literally run through if I have a show that like it's like that show where it's like holy shit, that what the fuck was that? I'll run through that in my mind for like the next month, and I'll just like be like, all right, like fire's back, let's go, I'm in, let's keep going. And then like obviously that doesn't happen for a bit again, I'll start to burn out, and then it'll happen again, boom, back in it. It's like it's so funny.
Those moments, yeah, the what the fuck moments are, yeah, they fly by, and you're like, whoa,
Yep. Oh my god,
why?
it's like a second. It's like snapping your fingers and it's over. Like an hour long set that's like a fire set is maybe 5 minutes in real time. Like
Do you do any like pre set rituals to calm your nerves or anything? Do you get stage fright?
uh I probably should, honestly.
No, I was just
I
wondering.
I I don't really. I
How,
honestly I'm such
how's your
a
I wasn't trying to press you on your mental health.
no. I have like crazy crippling anxiety, which is hilarious because like I'm fine on stage, but like you put me in any social setting, like for example, I like hate grocery stores for some reason. Like I literally like it's just the small like aisles, and like where I live, it's like a market basket and it's so condensed and I like literally can't move. And I hate that shit. And I get such anxiety going to grocery stores. But like put me on a stage in front of fucking like 5,000 people, I'm happy as a clam. I don't get
Okay,
nervous
hell
at
yeah,
all.
that's awesome.
Which is like crazy. I don't get it. I was same way in school, man. Like I literally I hated presenting. I hated being up in front of the class, but then I would go and play shows in Boston and like five for like 2,000 people, and I was fine. I was like, this is great.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way, but for some reason it's shopping malls. I cannot do
Shopping malls,
do
okay.
shopping malls. I have something about them.
Like
They get
the like outside of the stores, like in the hallways, or like in the stores, or just everything.
It's I think it's more so in the stores, but like the hallways of the mall just make me think of the inside of the stores. It's like
Yeah.
it's for
What
some
is it
reason.
about? Because I get that too. I don't. It drives my girlfriend crazy too, because she's like, we just have to go to the mall and grab like two things. And I'm like, no, it's gonna be like an hour. I'm gonna have a panic attack, and then it's gonna be a terrible day.
Yeah, you're like, look, I'm doing this for you, okay? It's not even for me anymore.
Yeah, no, I got it's on my bucket no my bucket list. It's on my list this year to kind of get over that. I don't know why that happens. I think it just comes back to me being like a homebody, and I like being in my space and creating. And when I leave that space, it's like, okay, now you're in fight or flight. So figure it
Yeah.
out.
For me, I agree. I think what triggers it for me is I don't mind being out and about. I think I'm a fairly social guy, but the whole shopping mall and like retail store, any retail store experience just drives my anxiety up a wall because it's all just corporately picked and showed, everything's like picked and
Oh
chosen
yeah,
for you, and like everything's strategically placed to get you to be exactly where
the
you are.
subliminal messaging.
Yeah, and I just and I think the icing on this fucking shit cake is the fluorescent lighting. Um,
Oh my god, yeah.
kills me every time.
Have you? I'm guessing you know what the back rooms are, and I'm guessing
Yeah.
you hate them.
Yes, exactly.
It's the same vibe. It's just like fill it with stores and people, and essentially back rooms, but real life.
Yeah, IKEA only goes one of two ways for me. Either I'm like having a great time because I'm like just following this event. I treat it like an art exhibit, or I'm having a terrible
Yeah,
time because I want to
it
leave and I can't.
honestly is though, and I appreciate that from IKEA. I like that. Like it's like the zoo. I'm just looking at like all these like different like dioramas of different environments, and I'm just like, cool. All right, let's go.
This is how people live. Some people live like this. Some people live like this. Some people's kitchens look like this. It's weird, but
Oh
it's
my
awesome.
god.
Plus, their meatballs are all right.
Honestly, I've never. This is like something that I cannot believe I'm saying out loud, but I've never had IKEA food, and I've been there so many times, but I've only been there like 5 fucking minutes before it's closing. So I'm just like rushing out of there. Food's already closed. They packed up shop. They're gone every single time.
The
And
sweet.
everyone always rants on how good it is, and I'm like, yeah, well, how good can it be?
Hey, if you're this frustrated already, don't try the meatballs. They're not that good. Don't
All
do
right,
it.
fine.
Don't do it.
I'll,
Don't do
I'll
it.
I'll keep up the streak.
They're literally not that good. They're
Wow.
hell yeah. So wait, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you? Are you
Oh wait, sorry. I think you cut out.
Oh yeah. Are you how old are you?
I'm 29.
Okay. Oh, I had no frame of reference if you were, in high
Yeah, I'm
school.
29.
Good shit. I'm 20
Almost at the big 3-0.
at the big 3-0. When's your birthday?
My birthday's in March, so it's coming up.
Okay. How do you feel? You nervous?
Uh, yeah. Well, cause like I definitely probably back around COVID, I was like, okay, I made a deal with myself that if I didn't see a lot of progress in a career in music, that I would cut it at 30. And I'm trying, and I think I've made it to the point where I think this is enough progress that I should keep going at 30. So I've been having that all of the year. I had that conversation. So it's like, should I? Because like you can only do so much for so long. Where if it doesn't work, you're like, all right, let's just move on to something else. But I think that this was a year that was very definitive of that I do belong in this kind of space, and I do like what this is turning into. So I think that we're good. I think we'll keep going.
As a fan, I'm happy to hear that, and I've also know a lot of producers that have made similar deals with themselves. Some of them have followed through, some of them haven't, and I
Yeah, it's a tough conversation too, because it's like this is what you want to do, but it's unsustainable. Like, how do you let that go? How do you tell yourself, hey, this probably isn't. Maybe you didn't do enough work, or maybe you didn't try harder, or maybe it just isn't right. But like,
yeah.
it's tough. It's a tough conversation. I've had it many times.
I one of the things that I'm like I said, I'm 27, just turned 27, but I still think about it because there's a lot of pressure on being an adult, paying those
Yep.
bills on times and whatnot. Um,
Yep.
and so But one of the things I heard was it was a quote that stuck with me, and it was that certain people, or what was the quote? It was a reference to a quote that artists some tend to do their best work in their 20s, and storytellers and writers do their best work, in their 40s, which I thought was a really
Oh,
interesting way of looking at art, and how a lot of, I do know a lot of musical artists that I used to look up to that made money with their music, and then they do a lot of other things with their career. But that quote really stuck with me, as in, I feel like I'm always going to have a creative mind, but if it's all not
yeah.
always expressed in music, it made me a little bit more comfortable with that.
Yeah. I can't like yeah, I agree. I cannot see myself not doing something creative or having some sort of creative outlet because I think I would probably just shatter into a million pieces.
Yep.
But um yeah, that is good. I like that.
Yeah, and it motivated me to keep working, keep working on music, because I guess I'm running out of my prime musical time.
Yeah, you better hurry up.
Yeah. uh
But
it,
no, I like
it's
it. I think that the more you kind of are in this space, the more you kind of code your brain to know what's working, know what doesn't work, and kind of create sort of your own sort of workflow and your own sort of like vibe on what you think you should do. And if you want to be a creative person and you want to find some way to be creative, then you're going to find that way. It might not be in the timeline that you set. So it's just a conversation that you'll have your entire life, I think.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, being an artist that can totally sustain themselves is not a it's not a common thing. Most of the artists
It is not. It
no.
is not. It's few and far between. If you're not doing like what I was saying, just different avenues, just solely for music, that is very rare now.
Extraordinarily so. It's all content, it's all social media numbers, and it's just not in
Oh
it's not in the streams.
God,
Oh yeah.
I have such a love hate with social media. I think
Do you run
I
your
love
social media? Do you have anyone helping you with it?
it's all me. Everything you see of mine, it's me. Um, I do all of my videos. Anything I post online, it's if it's edited, it's me. Um, any visuals, anything that's any photos. If I get photos taken, like press photos, I like have them give me the raw photos and I edit them myself. Like I'm like that. Like I guess
You're in
I
the
don't want to say
weeds.
psychotic, but like it's just like it needs to be me.
You can
So
uh you can say detail oriented.
yeah, there you go. I like that. But the problem with that is that if I'm not having, I like to say a creative brain week. If I'm not having a creative brain week, nothing happens, which is something that I need to figure out because I'll have weeks where I'll post, I'll make a TikTok video of new music every single day. I'll be making visuals, I'll be making reels, I'll be doing all this stuff. I'll be keeping like current on Instagram, I'll be interacting with everyone. And then there'll be weeks where I'm just empty. Like there's nothing left. I have a week off and I just like cannot make anything. Everything sucks and I hate it. And then nothing happens. There's no posts, there's no like I'm not interacting with people and that's a huge fault in like just like I don't know. I don't know whose fault it is. It's definitely mine, but like I don't know why that happens and I hate that I'm and not just me, just artists in general, just expected to just be on and always on with this social media stuff because like it's so obvious when people are just like not posting because they're not in front of you, they're not being fed to you. You know what I mean?
Right, right,
It's just like
exactly.
and I hate that, but I love the freedom of creating whatever you want. I love the freedom of posting whatever you want. I love the freedom of having the ability to show it to everybody. It's just it's such a like constant force feed down everyone's throats nonstop that like if you stop, then it's just like there's nothing happening.
Yeah, yeah, and building a relationship with the algorithm essentially is what you have to do, and it's not the algorithm is just a big machine. It's on 24/7. It doesn't stop, and it's kind of hard to be
I
friends
wish
with
it did.
such. Yeah, it
Wish there
does
was like a
not.
day, one day a week where all social media just like turned off.
The
Just
Sabbath.
one. That would be amazing.
Just
Because like it
Friday
doesn't.
nights.
It's and it's like such a. You need like a college degree to fully understand how this shit works. Like it's so in depth. Like just like knowing your audience, peak hours, knowing the buzzwords that you need to use to target the right people, like using
Trending
like
audio.
trending audio, trending templates. Like who's picking the trending stuff? Nobody knows. It's just what people gravitate towards. And then the whole paying for your reach but not getting your full reach because you didn't do it at the right time or say the right words, or you said link in bio but you shouldn't have said that because now they're shadow banning the word bio. It's like what the fuck? What? Like, what are you talking about?
It's that's so bad. You're completely right. Keep going.
I have a fucking book. All right, I got a book, and it's probably the thickness of like Harry Potter 4. Like I'm not even kidding. And it's just social media marketing 2024.
Holy
And
crap.
I started reading it, and I think I got dumber. Like it literally was so bad. And like the verbiage is like it's trying to appeal to like to people using the like people using the platforms and people like actually doing this, but it comes off as so like demeaning and like if you don't know this you're an idiot type deal, and I'm just like I don't know this, that's why I bought this fucking book.
Just a 4,000 page gaslight.
You know exactly. And like the funny part is it says 2024, this shit's already out of date. Like this shit already, like some of this shit isn't even current anymore because it's evolving so fast.
Gotta get that 2025 version.
2024 part 2 or some shit, like it just doesn't work. It's insane. Well, it does work. It's just like you have to just be constantly like studying the trends and studying what's working and when to do it and what to do. And it's just like, who the fuck has that time?
I think the problem is that there's a pretty obvious, like once you see through it and see the gears, so to speak, I think as an artist, as a creative person, for me at least, it's I think immediately you see the divide between what it is you're doing versus the work that is needed to keep doing it essentially just takes away the authenticity, like immediately.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. It sucks because like if you don't follow that sort of mold and you don't fit there and you put a shit ton of work into something that you're really proud of and that's really good, it could just be seen by nobody because it's not pertaining to the specific outline that they want you to do. They meaning the overarching like algorithm, but like
These social media
it's
overlords.
yeah, literally like the eyes on you at all times. It's like it's so disheartening because like you see so many content creators or whoever, music artists who are like, hey, I'm putting out this really sick passion project and I'm really proud of it, and it gets maybe 10% of the traction of just like a shitty ass
Peter,
whatever they
club
put.
banger.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so disheartening as an artist coming into this scene where it's like your entire audience is dictated by this overlordian type social media platform god that like you can't just be free to express yourself like the way you want to anymore. It's all based off these certain guidelines that aren't even set by people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the algorithm, it's everyone's it used to be different mediums. It used to be that in order to get in front of an audience or like get in front of, let's say, 1,000 people, you had to get a story written about you in the newspaper or show up on the local news,
right?
But the thing that I noticed a little while ago, maybe a couple years ago, was that I was on Snapchat and Josh Peck was on my fucking Snapchat Discover, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And like this guy is probably he's still making Drake and Josh money. We all know that.
100%.
We all know he's still making Drake and Josh money, but guess what? He's a full-time influencer. And I'm like, all right, I guess that tracks. He makes sense. It makes sense that he would use his fame to keep making money.
He's the type of guy who definitely like dove into that lavish lifestyle and hasn't had a role, or I don't think has had a role of that caliber of Drake and Josh. Where
no, not to the same.
But he still has that lifestyle.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think what the final thing that drives, I think what I was trying to say is what I realized that day was that he is competing he's not competing for your space on like the TV anymore, like he was in Drake and Josh, like what got him to this fame.
Right.
He's actually competing for the exact same space that I'm competing for. That like my homie who has
Oh
like 60
yeah.
followers is competing for. Like that he's trying to capture that. He doesn't care about the TV anymore. And I was like, whoa, like yeah, like that
That's so true.
they're just that is where the views come from. That's where the notoriety comes from nowadays, and we're all competing for the space on your screen, because when you get on my screen, you're famous to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm.
Yeah. That's nuts. And like to speak on that too, it's like you have to look at the just the scale of this kind of shit where it's like back then like the most famous thing or the most the eyes you could get was like the Super Bowl, right? Or like the Super Bowl commercials or
Yep.
something like that. And now these like YouTube videos and like, reels are getting maybe double, triple the amount you could get on the Super Bowl on just like a video. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So I'm
It's just nuts. The scale is insane.
I'm a producer for a rock and roll band here in Colorado, and we have been grinding on the social media, and two of our reels hit 250K each, which is
Nice.
which is crazy. It
That's
resulted
nuts.
in, so that's like 500,000 plays in a month, and it resulted in about 3,000 external followers. What is the percentage on that? Like
Not a lot.
that's so small. That's such a like a small turnover rate, but that's what everyone is competing for. And
But that's still a lot.
well, so it's been hard for me to celebrate with my band because the mentality has just been like, all right, we got to do that again. We got to do that again because we got
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
hmm
let's go.
yep
Like, because that's the our brains are coded like that now.
hmm
Like, it's not like you can't even take it. Like I said, you can't even take a non-creative brain week off. Like, you got to keep going.
hmm
You can't celebrate the wins you just had. You just gotta push on. What's next? I
exactly.
hate that,
It's
but I love
crazy,
that because
especially with yeah, when you get numbers that are bigger than you've ever seen, and you feel bad for just taking a breath.
yeah, I do. I really fucking do. Like yesterday, I didn't work on music. I didn't work on anything. I just made my own stuff for like the Patreon that I'm launching. And I like went to bed. I was like, all right, so what did I do today? And I was like, I did one fucking thing. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, why didn't you? Are you serious? What a waste of a day. I'm just like, what? What?
Always on. Rent's due tomorrow. Always on. Grind
Yeah,
set, not a
it's
mindset.
fucking nuts. And let me tell you, Boston rent ain't cheap.
Yeah, I bet not.
It's nuts out here.
So, how do you like living out? Actually, yeah. Do you have you ever thought about moving? Do you like Boston a lot? You grew up there, it's your hometown. Represent.
Yeah, I don't know. I like it. I like what do I like? I like how in the certain part of Boston I'm in, it's very like a lot of trails, a lot of public community trails, a lot of like, places to go. I don't really just need to use my car that much. I'm right on the public
Nice.
transit.
Yeah.
So it's really
Oh, let
it's
me
really
tell you,
like,
I miss the public transit of the East Coast. You cannot do
oh,
anything out
it's
here public without a
let
car.
me tell you, it's great when you don't need to rely on it.
Mm.
If you need that shit for work and you need to commute, that shit is ass, dude. It will fail you every single time you need it. But if you use it purely for getting around and like, days off, you're just kind of going around. Like I'll use it to get to venues that I'm playing. If I'm playing in the city, I'll use it to hop over to my girlfriend's office or something. Like that's great. I love it. Super cheap, gets me there quick, whatever. But when I needed to rely on that shit never came through.
What's the name of the system out there?
The MBTA.
MBTA. That's catchy.
Yep, it's we call it the T.
The T.
But yeah, it's a bunch of it stretches out pretty far. Like I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So that's the T, and then they have the what's called the commuter rail, and that goes even farther. Like that goes like 30, 40 miles outside the city. So you can really operate without a car if you're on one of those lines, pretty easily around here, which I like. I like that aspect. I like I would say I like the weather, but there's only about 2 months during the year that it's not either super hot or super cold.
Yeah, that Boston winter. I wouldn't be able.
Boston winter is it really crafts some super villains out here. Like it's nuts.
It's
Um,
I'd probably be able to handle it if it wasn't right next to the water. If the wind wasn't icicles, I'd be,
oh my
you know,
god, it's brutal and like just the straight ice storms. We get a pretty good amount of snow too, and our streets aren't made for snow. It's just very like small, slender. Doesn't really make sense. Like New York is not a grid. It's just like a bunch of random ass streets. Um, and they get really full of snow, and then the plows just either completely bury your car or like run it over. Like it's not great.
run it over. That's hilarious.
It's literally I've seen it happen. It's very because like the snow just piles up and people just leave their cars because they don't use it too much because they use public transit. So like your car's fucked.
Fuck.
But everything else I like. Also, I don't like the rent prices because it
Right.
sucks and also a terrible time during this like September when we get like 15,000 new people because of all the schools. So that's always fun.
Yeah. Oh man, that whole city must feel like a college town during that time.
It's it's pretty bad.
I guess.
But no, it's
Wait, no, go on.
yeah. I was just gonna say it's been a good place to grow up for sure. Because like I grew up in the suburbs outside of Boston, and having this as very like a quick trip to come into a major city, and very easily, I might add, it was very formative too because like I got to see a lot of different aspects of just different living, like high end city versus like suburb versus the low end city. Like it's an eye opening experience to see all of that, and not a lot of people who live in you know not near major cities or in cities that are a lot different. I think it's a cool unique aspect because Boston is really unique, but everything else hate it.
What's the bass scene or the music scene out there like? Does the
It's
cold?
it's cool. It's cool. We have a lot of we have a major overarching company called Big Night that kind of runs all of the major commercialized venues. Live Nation is very prominent out here. But as for underground scene, there's a decent scene out here for underground. It's mainly just like deeper, darker, dangerous type deal. But a few people have got through the veil, if you will, to get outside of this kind of underground or commercialized scene. Cyclops is from out here. Um, who else? Squanto is from out here, but
Oh no
we'll
way.
talk about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Um,
I don't know if that's good or not.
yeah. Well, I mean, he's fine.
Yeah.
He's fine now, I think. I don't know.
That was a while
Who
ago. I'm
else?
pretty sure.
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
He was cool when he was cool.
One of my
Um,
friends. Oh god. One of my friends in College Park. His roommate. Like, like when all this shit was happening before he got exposed. He, or not. I don't know if whatever happened. It was some bad attitudes or like
yeah.
some really bad behavior came out. He just completely baselessly messaged Squinto and was like, wow, kind of accused him of random shit. And the guy went off on him, like in like a shitty way. He just kept talking about how much money he made. Like the guy,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like that does not surprise me at all. Like just kind of that shit. Um,
It was funny when we were like,
but
18, 19 years old, just like just messaging, like DMing Squinto and like getting him to be an asshole.
I'm dead.
It was
Yeah.
that
No.
was that was crazy.
I think he moved out to Denver or something.
I have
I
not
don't know.
heard. I haven't heard that name in a while, to be honest. That's why that
Okay, then
memory
probably
came back.
not. Probably
Yeah,
not.
he was
Um,
inspiring when I. I mean, not. I don't want to talk about it for too long, but he got me inspired to chop up like 4 tracks at a time and not have
oh
any
yeah, he was
excuses for
definitely
that.
doing something. He had something going. It's just like that's just unfortunately what happened. I guess I don't know.
A wook with money, it can go well, it can go bad.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But yeah, love it out here. I definitely like the surrounding areas. I think it's a like the Cape Cod is really cool. Um, I like how close we are to New York, but yeah, everything else it's just a struggle. But as is any city.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have I would say probably there's an advantage to being in your hometown as far as getting to play shows and sticking around. You probably have a native fan base to or like a bigger,
Yeah,
you know, a
yeah,
nice
and
following.
it's cool to see how much that's branched out too, because a lot of people who still know me from Boston have moved out to, cities everywhere. So it's like I always feel like I know somebody in every city, which has been cool.
That's such a great feeling. I love that feeling. Whenever I don't know
Yeah,
someone in a new city, I'm like, damn, I'm slacking. I gotta meet some
yeah,
people out
yeah.
here.
Well, I mean, that's just a new opportunity. It's a new market to kind of hop into.
It's crazy. That reminds me, I whenever I'm in a new city, I just kind of open Snapchat and there's so many random people that just have their location on for me.
Oh,
It's
really?
crazy. Yeah, like I'll meet people at like parties or like at a show or a rave or like just a guy that I played a show with once. Dude, people have their location on like all the time and they have like I could just see who's in, whatever city I'm in. It's a really cool.
Like so dangerous.
It is really dangerous, but at least I'm not detail oriented. Uh,
Right, right,
so-
right.
right.
Good. Yeah, that's
It's crazy, like crazy dangerous. It's so funny though. Like yeah. Be safe out
Snapchat's
there,
a wild
kids.
place. Yeah, literally BC. Love that.
Well, shit, man. I'm feeling good. I think what are we at? We're at 150. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Nah, dude, this has been great. I had a great time.
I'm really glad. I did too. I feel like I've learned a lot about you, and I really like your vision for your art project and your music. And you're a hard worker, man. Where do you get all this motivation? You know?
Where?
Yeah, or like how?
Dude, I have everyone fucking I have no idea. I have no idea. I mean, my dad is a super hard worker. He kind of instilled just core values of working hard for what you got, and he kind of just told me about like just keep going with your passions, and if you feel like I don't know, it's just he kind of just gave me that vision of just like if you want something, work for it, and I've kind of taken that to the extreme of like I'm gonna do fucking everything, I guess.
Yeah.
um so I feel like there's gonna be a point where I definitely need to start letting people have a little more control in what I do, but until then, I'm just gonna keep doing it myself because I really like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, it's important to get other people involved once you spread yourself out too thin. Um,
100%,
but
and I'll get people involved. It's just like I need to have that like final say, and I feel like letting go of that is gonna be the hardest part. But I
yeah.
I do think there will definitely come a time.
Well, that's awesome. I look forward to that. I look forward to all of your future projects. You coming out? Do you have any? Oh, you did say that there are some shows in the works, but you can't really say them yet. So, um,
Yep.
where
I
should
have a
we
I
where should
have
we
a
look out for all of these announcements? Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram, pretty much Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. I'm trying to move off Twitter, but Twitter for now. But mainly Instagram. Yeah.
You mean X?
Should be mid-November announcement for that. I have no more EPs this year because I've already done too much. But I have two more remixes coming out this year. One of which I think I'm announcing next week. It's gonna be a big one. It'll be so sick. Very excited.
I'm stoked. Hell yeah, we're gonna keep a lookout then. I'm gonna probably play you out with one of your newer songs just to get
Hell
the
yeah.
get the vibe out. All right. Well, I guess we'll just wrap this up, everybody. If you are still listening, thank you very much. And Andrew, just want to say thanks again for being such a good sport and letting the conversation just flow. And I think a lot of people know a lot more about you.
Hell yeah, dude. This was great. Anytime.
Sweet, sweet. Why am I freezing? All right, sweet. All right, everybody. This has been episode number 32 of I Can't Produce a Podcast. Andrew, otherwise known as AG, has been an awesome guest. He's a great guy hailing from Boston, and I'm going to play him out with one of his newer songs that we're going to go with. Oh, the Rufus the Soul reboot. I do like that's
Excellent choice.
big fan of that. All right, everybody, go check out the links in the description. If you like what you hear, then go check out the Discord server as well. There's a lot of there's a lot of great resources out there if you're a beginner, intermediate, and if you're an advanced producer. We got a lot of bigger producers in there too that you can always network with. So yeah, Feedback sessions every Tuesday. I Can't Produce a Podcast. Andrew, thanks for coming on. Until next time, y'all. Peace.